Hey, true learners, it's me again, Miss G, your MathMatters tutor with TACC. So today's problem, it comes from a really cool kid out of JNLA Middle School, Dr. Julian Nava Learning Academy. She wants to know, how do we solve percent proportion problems? So this actually piggybacks off of yesterday's first episode where I modeled a percentage problem. It's pretty much the same thing. It is the same thing, just the presentation is different. So I've kind of already set up my whiteboard, and I have this handy dandy chair here to help me hold up my whiteboard. Hopefully this works out better than yesterday. Okay, so again, we're working on percent proportion problems. The question is, what is 11% of $88? So let's say you are buying something at the store, let's say an outfit or shoes, let's say shoes, and the shoes cost $88, but there's an 11% discount. So you're going to get 11% off of 88. So you're not going to have to pay $88. It's going to be 11% less than $88. So with percent proportion problems, there's a way that you can set this up. In the class, the teacher set it up where you had a percentage. Well, the percent symbol was there over the 100 because percents written as a fraction is a number or a part out of 100, right? A part out of 100 total pieces or total parts. I'm not going to have that here. I will just write the number 11 on top, okay? So rewriting 11% as a fraction is 11 hundredths, or 11 out of 100. With the proportion, we want to equate or show how 11 out of 100 is equal to a total of $88 to a certain amount. What did I just say? What does that mean? What I mean is that I want to find what is, here's that box that represents the what. What is 11% of the $88? So how many dollars off will I get from the price? If there's a sale, like I said, and you get 11% off of $88, how much money will I get to reduce $88 by, to see how much money I'll actually have to spend for my shoes? All right, that was a mouthful, but hopefully with time, and I'll actually slow down because I feel myself speeding up and getting hot with the lights and all of that. Okay, so this is how I'll set up the problem. In your classroom, you might see a variable, which is a letter that represents an amount that we don't know. So you might see the letter A. A lot of times in math class, you'll see an A written this way, lowercase a. I highly recommend writing a capital letter, A. Why? When you're working with numbers, and sometimes you're calculating quickly, you might extend the A line, the tail on the A, and it might end up looking like a 9. And then you get super confused and you're like, wait, I've solved the problem, or it just messes you up later. So you could leave it as a blank box because that's the what. This blank box here represents the what we're trying to find. 11% of that $88. How much is that? How much is 11% of $88? Now you'll see I have the unit here, the dollar symbol here. But that's just because I want us to be very clear that we're comparing a total of $88 to a part of $88. This part represents only 11% of $88. And that over here, this part is only a small amount of 100 as the total number of parts. Total number of parts. Some people will call the total number of parts the whole. So our whole thing, whatever that thing is, cut up into 100 pieces, and we have 11 parts. Our total or whole cost of our shoe is $88. but for the sale of 11% off, you get to take a certain amount off. So that part, how much off can you reduce or subtract from the total price? Okay? Now this is a lot, so I'm going to erase to have a cleaner board. Okay? Oh, that doesn't look pretty. You guys are so patient, so you'll wait for me as I try to make this look cute. Okay. So essentially the problem is we're comparing 11% to an amount out of 88 total dollars. Okay? So again, in class, today, the JNLA student saw her teacher cross multiply, which means we take these two numbers and we multiply them together. This is like, I call this a trick, okay? 11 times that 88. And then she was equating it, making that equal to 100 times that mystery amount. How? Okay? So some people know and feel comfortable doing the cross multiplication, but not everyone does. But I will model it. Again, you could put a capital A there so you don't mistake your letter A for a number 9. And after you set your problem up in this way, you're expected to isolate, which means to leave alone and keep this variable, this letter A, this amount we don't know, keep it on one side of the equation. Just keep it over there so we will have an answer to what is 11% of 88. We need to get rid of this amount that's multiplied to it. So it needs to move over here. In order to move this 100 to the left side of our equation, we have to do the opposite of the operation. The opposite of multiplying is dividing, to divide, or dividing. So this fraction bar, as you learned yesterday, is actually a division symbol in disguise. So I'll take 100 and I'll divide this side by 100. 100 divided by 100 is 1. A lot of times in class you'll see teachers go, oh, boom, boom, cancels out. And the kids have no idea what does canceling out mean. It's really that you're dividing like for like. You're dividing like by like. 100 divided by 100 is a 1. So that's why they cancel out, okay? And if whatever you do to the right side or any side of an equation, you have to do to the other side because it's a balance, okay? This equal sign really means the same as. So to make it the same as, or like to level out or balance a scale, you have to do the same thing to the other side. So now I'm going to do the same thing by dividing this side by 100, the left side, okay? So now I have 11 times 88, all divided by 100, and I've isolated my variable, okay? So now all of this is equal to A. What is A? Well, that's what we were trying to find out in the beginning. What is A? Well, A is, and so for those of you who, again, get a little scared when you see large numbers and you're like, I need a calculator. I mean, you could use a calculator, but let's say you forgot your calculator and you can't use your laptop in class and Google calculate. What are you going to do? So in order to multiply 88 by 10, what you could do is distribute. That's another term that 5th graders know very well, hopefully 4th graders too. So what you're doing is you're going to make this easier to multiply by. How do we do that? Well, 11 is made up of one 10, right, and a 1. So here's my 10, and here's my 1. I'm going to multiply 88 by the 10 first. And we know from yesterday's lesson, when you're multiplying by a 10 or a number with a 0, you just multiply the digits that are not zeros first. So the 1 times the 88 is 88. And then we add the same number of zeros that we had between the two numbers. There's only one 0 between 10 and 88. That 10 has a 0. So if this is confusing people, don't worry about it. Just know the rule of 10, 88 times 10 is 880. You've just added a 0 to the back of 88. So 88 times 10 is equal to 880. Now I'm going to add that to 88 times 1. Okay? And that 1 here came from the 1 in the number 11. This first one represents a 10. 10 plus 1 is 11, right? All of that is 11. So 88 times 1, or this 1 here, is 88. So now I'm adding 888 to 88. Okay, just for aesthetics here to make it look neater, and so all of you can add this up. I noticed kids are a little bit afraid. Students are afraid to. They think, oh, there's so much work I have to do. Oh my goodness. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. You'll be a better person for having done hard work. Trust me. And if you don't trust me, trust people who've done harder work than I do. Okay, so 0 plus 8 is 8. 8 plus 8 is 16. I'm going to carry my 1 up here to the hundreds place. 8 plus 1 is 9. So I've just solved the top of this expression here. 11 times 88 is actually 968. All right, so this 968 is up on the top. And I have to divide it all by 100. Okay? Woo, this looks like a hot mess, as people like to say. It really does. But I'm going to erase it. 968. Don't forget that. Remind me. Like you can talk to me through this, right? So 968. I'll just write it above here. Actually. You guys get to see the behind the scenes. I know, I don't have like a green screen. I'm not fancy yet. Maybe if somebody endorses me, I can get some money to get the cool tech. But again, TACC, True Ambitions Community Center. You see here the logo. We're a nonprofit, so we don't always have the funds to support all the cool things that we try to do. All right, so again, all of this up here, 11 times 88 is equal to 968, and that's all over 100. 968 hundredths, for those of you who are still practicing naming your fractions. 968 hundredths. And all of that was equal to our A. Okay? A. But I'm not going to write A here. Well, yeah. I'm not going to write A here because now I want to find out what A is. What is this? How much? How much money is 11% of $88? How much money is that? Okay, so in order to make this, write this as in terms of currency, money, I have to know a trick. Here we go with the tricks. When you see hundredths, the number 100 underneath the bar here, it becomes hundredths. You're going to count the number of zeros. You'll pretend there's an imaginary decimal there and count the number of zeros or loop under them, and that the point where you stop, where the arrow's pointing to, represents where you would place your decimal and the number above it. Okay, so let's pretend there's an imaginary decimal here, and we know we're going to go twice to the left. So here's where I'd actually place my decimal point. Okay, so $9.68 is equivalent to, or it's the same as 11% of $88. Now that was with cross multiplication. For those of you who did not want to see the cross multiplication, I'll show you what I do. For those of you who really don't like the cross multiplication version, okay? And by the way, that $9.68 is how much you will be able to subtract from $88 to find out how much are those shoes going to cost in the end. They're not going to cost $88. Okay, here we go. So we have, this is again for those who don't want to see the cross multiplication. It was too tricky. I would just write 11% as a fraction. And for the of, I write a multiplication symbol. And I just bring down the the number that represents $88. Again, if you were here yesterday with the percent video for beginners, I told you guys to create a fraction out of your whole number by putting it over 1. 88 divided by 1 is still 88. That's why teachers do this, because it doesn't change the value of the $88, but it helps the fractions, both numbers to be fractions, okay? When you multiply fractions, you multiply the numerators first. Numerators are the numbers on top, okay? And we already found out that 11 times 88 is 968, okay? And after that, you multiply your denominators, the numbers down below that fraction bar. 100 times 1 is 100. So again, we have 968 hundredths. And see, I didn't do all that cross multiplication and all that. It was really scaring folks, okay? It's so much cleaner and simpler. I actually can't even believe myself how fast that was, but also I didn't model how to multiply 11 times 88 without a calculator, so that took some time. And I could have said it simpler. Oh, fine. Okay, you're with me. We're going on 18 minutes, so let me hurry up. So again, the trick is when you have you're working with zeros underneath, especially hundreds, tens, thousands, tenths, hundredths, thousandths. When you have these zeros here, to find where to place your decimal point, you count the number of zeros and stop. Loop under and do the same thing with the number above it in your numerator. And you'll know that's where you're going to place your decimal point, okay? So start behind the number and go to the left when you're dividing. You're making your numbers smaller. To divide is to break things up and make them smaller. So if you're going the other way, you're making your number larger. You can't if you have 100 of something and you start dividing, sharing out, you have to get smaller, so that's why we go to the left. The number's getting smaller, okay? So this is now becomes your $9.68 is how much you can take off of your $88 if somebody asked you, or if you wanted to know rather, how much cheaper your shoes would be. The 11% cheaper is $9.68 cheaper. All right, that was a lot. I hope it was helpful. Bear with me. I'll get better at this. Thanks. Come again.